What's up guys, today we're going over an artifact mod that allows void weapons to have the highest DPS in the game right now, and that's going to be Volatile Flow. And everyone's been using this for Ackler so far, rightfully so. It is obviously absolutely insane in PvE, but I haven't really heard people talk about how this makes void weapons the best DPS, and that is what today's video is going to be all about. Right now my code error is 30% off for G Fuel. You can go and check out their store by clicking the link in the comments and description. They have all kinds of really good flavors. Find something that sounds good to you or stock up on your faves today. Let's jump right into it. Volatile Flow gives you Volatile Rounds, which is going to be one of two ways to proc those rounds in PvE. Right now it is only this artifact mod where you have to pick up a Void Elemental Well to grant your void weapons Volatile Rounds. Later on in the season, once we get more fragments, this one will work too, where getting a Grenade Final Blow will ready your void weapons with those rounds. So what do those rounds even do? Well, in a way, it's built-in explosive payload for your void weapons. Then also whenever the enemy gets hit again or dies, it will be a bloom-like explosion, which is obviously insanely good for Ackler. And there are all kinds of great void weapons to pair this with for Ackler. For example, the Glaive, the Funnel Web, which is the best SMG in the game, or even some exotics. For example, you could try it with Telesto, Le Monarch, Ruinous Effigy, or something even like Tractor. So there's all kinds of great options for Ackler. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the point of this video is to more so highlight how it increases the DPS of void weapons and why it might lead to a new meta around this mod. And the first thing to discuss is just how much damage does it increase to your void weapons. So if we look at a few different options between our primaries, specials, and even our heavies to see how it works, we go and pick up a Void Elemental Well to proc the Volatile Rounds. First with the Funnel Web SMG, which is obviously a primary. Every single time the Volatile Round procs and you see that little Void Explosion on Carl, it will hit for 7,711. So the question is, does it scale to each individual weapon, or is it just a universal number? So we now try with the Deathbringer, which is obviously extremely different from an SMG. As you'll see, every time it procs the Volatile Rounds on Carl, it will hit for that same 7,711 number. So the damage the Volatile Rounds do on a target is the same for every weapon in the game. So depending on what weapon you're using, that is only increases DPS by a different amount. So first with the Funnel Web, looking at damage on Carl, we normally hit for 1344 per bullet, and over one mag, it procced the Volatile Rounds 4 times, which means the base damage was just under 50,000, but with the Volatile Rounds proccing 4 times, it went up to over 80,000, which is going to be a 62% increase, which is more or less adding like old Rampage times 3 before the nerf to the weapon. That is a huge increase to your damage per second with that SMG. Now on the completely opposite side of the coin, if you use something like the Deathbringer, which can hit up to 27,000 per individual projectile, and with Deathbringer there will be 7 of these projectiles that can hit a single target, and if they all hit the same target, it should proc Volatile Rounds up to 4 times. Sometimes it's only 3, but it can also be 4. And compared to the base damage of the rocket, obviously that 7,000 number times 4 is a lower percent of the total damage. So for example, the base damage is almost 190, while with Volatile Rounds it goes to 220, which is only going to be a 16% increase to the total damage of the rocket, which is still quite a bit and like another damage perk. Another one we can see how it works with is going to be a Glaive. I think specials in general are going to be the sweet spot for optimizing your DPS with this mod. So looking at damage on Carl, it's usually 23,000. Now with Volatile Rounds, and as you'll see on Carl, it will proc the Volatile Round explosion every other hit. So if you're using a 6 mag, it will proc 3 times, which will still increase the DPS by quite a bit, going from 140 to 162, which is going to be a 17% increase, which once again is like adding in a extra frenzy or a perk like that. But where Volatile Rounds work the best is on these single shot weapons, for example sniper rifles. This one right here is Void and come with Fire and Line. The damage on Carl with Fire and Line is 29,000. Now with Volatile Rounds, as you'll see, it will proc on every single hit, which, you know, going from 29,000 to now 36,000 per shot, that is like a full-on extra perk, increasing the damage per shot by 27%, which is higher than any other sniper damage perk in the game. So right there alone, Void Snipers are automatically the best DPS, and it's not even close. Another one it works great with is going to be the Falling Guillotine or any Void Sword, because once again it procs on every single hit, which once again going from 22,000 per sword hit to almost 30,000. That is going to be a huge percent increase, and once we add up the numbers, it's going to be roughly a 36% increase to your damage with the sword, So once again, I mean, that is like having surrounded procced at all times with a void sword. And just like all the other weapons so far, you could also have a surrounded on the sword itself or relentless strikes or whatever it is, and more or less have 2 damage perks at the same time. Another weapon it procs on every single hit will be threaded needle, just like snipers, but just like the rocket comparison before, because the base damage of the thread needle is that much higher than a sniper, just because the 7,000 damage of the volatile rounds is a lower percent of the total damage of the weapon, resulting in a 12% overall increase to your DPS, which is still obviously great and like another damage perk. So overall, I think you get the point that volatile rounds give void weapons the highest DPS in the game, and since the damage of volatile rounds is the same for every weapon depending on the RPM and the base damage of the weapon, the exact percent increase will be different. Some other weapons I didn't show off in this video that should be pretty good are fusions and also shotguns. So how do you take advantage of this in the game? Well, you need a way to create void elemental wells. I think the most consistent way to do it before a boss fight will be elemental ordnance. That way you just simply grenade and add right before going to DPS. Then you simply just need volatile flow on from the artifact, or later in the season that fragment that will make it proc on grenade final blows. And while you're picking up the void elemental well, you may as well throw on Phantom Might to give that 25% buff to your void weapons to further increase your DPS. And with that going on, once you pick up the void elemental well, as you see, the volatile rounds last longer than the Phantom Might, so you could put on elemental time dilation to then stack 2 Phantom Mights, which will increase the timer. So that would be your 3rd, 4th, and 5th mod right there. And now when you pick up the void elemental well, the timers will be the exact same at 17 seconds, which means for the first 17 seconds of the DPS phase, you would have both Phantom Might and the volatile rounds for your void weapon. So yeah, this mod is the real deal. Not only is it great for PvE Ackler, it also results in the highest DPS possible for void weapons, and kind of makes them meta for this season and future seasons too, because there will still be a way to proc this with just grenade final blows with the fragment. And yeah, I think that's gonna be it for the commentary. Pretty straightforward video. I don't think there's much to explain. Volatile rounds will give more damage to every void weapon in the game, depending on the RPM type and what it is. The percent might be different, from the heavy weapons being roughly like 10 to 20% increase, which is still the equivalent of having Vorpal or Frenzy, all the way to a primary weapon, which is like over 50%, which is the equivalent of adding in not only like 1 more damage perk, but 2 more damage perks, which is obviously a huge increase to your damage per second. Not only does this mod make void weapons the meta for DPS, but also the meta for Ackler in general. Overall, it is just a game changer. Once again, my code ERROR is 30% off for G Fuel. Like usual, thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.